Hello, hope you're well. This is the December update. Lots of important stuff to impart to you, whether you are a paying parent or a receiving parent. Let's first of all talk about Christmas dates. As I'm recording it, it's the last Sunday before Christmas. Tomorrow is Monday, then it's Tuesday, then it's Christmas Day. What this means is if you receive money from the CMS via a DEO, i.e. it comes from the employer, if the CMS haven't sent it to you already, that's it. You're not going to get the money before Christmas now, because obviously the CMS use BACS, which is the payment system, which takes 2 days, which means if they send it on tomorrow, Monday, it isn't going to be received till Wednesday, but your bank won't allow you to have access to it until Friday, most likely. Monzo might be different. I understand they have an early access feature, so that might be different for them, and also same with Revolut, but most banks won't allow you to draw on the money on Wednesday. Obviously as well, Christmas, so like any organisation, CMS staff will be off over Christmas. That means there's probably going to be less people answering the telephones, which is just typical, isn't it? When you're off, when you're able to actually spend an hour, maybe 2 hours on the telephone waiting for CMS, they will have less staff available on their call centres. So that's not really helpful, but that's just the way it is. Nothing we can do about that, okay? Now let's talk about the Christmas nightmare. The Christmas nightmare is where a receiving parent reports a paying parent for not paying, and they do it over the Christmas holidays in order to cause harassment, alarm and distress. It's not funny. Don't do it, okay? I am aware there are certain parents out there that will, for example, report non-payment regularly. They will do it when the kids have it on holiday. They will do it over Christmas. I feel really sad for you if you are a receiving parent and you choose to report your ex-partner for not paying you on Christmas Day. Come on, nothing's going to happen with it. Do it on the 27th if you really must do it, but don't do it on Christmas Day, and especially don't do it if it's false. Okay? If it's a false report, then hopefully the person that's paying you will report you to the police, okay? Because that's unacceptable behaviour. It's fraud. Do not report people for missing payments when they haven't missed them, okay? And of course, there's the other thing. If you do report someone for a missed payment, it can actually cause you problems, because if the CMS decide to put that person onto a DEO, a deductions from earning order, that will mean that your payments stop. Okay, they will stop until that is set up, and typically that can take up to 3 months. It can be shorter, but it can take up to 3 months. Okay, and this is particularly important if your partner normally pays. And if you think about it, we've now got a Christmas bank holiday. Okay, there's Christmas Day, Boxing Day, there's New Year's Days, there's other days in between, depending on whether you live in England, Scotland, Northern Ireland or Wales. Okay, and on those days the banks don't make payments, so it's inevitable that some payments will be late by a day or so, a couple of days. Okay, if for example someone is due to pay on the 25th of December, their standing order won't pay until the next working day, which at the earliest will be the 27th. Okay, so give it time for those payments to go through. If you know someone normally pays on time, as I always say, do not report them if they're less than a week late. All right? If you know that they're going to pay you, don't report, because you don't want the CMS to put them on collect and pay, and then that will screw up your future payments. All right. Now let's talk one for the paying parents: how to screw yourself over. All right. This is really easy. If you want to screw yourself over in 2025, just ignore what I'm about to say. All right. I'm telling you, when the CMS gives you a schedule, stick to it. I know you might not agree with it, okay? I know in some cases it may be wrong. The trouble is, if you pay under, okay, the CMS will put you on collect and pay. If you pay over, well, who's to say that's not a gift, all right? And we hear stories of people paying over and then being told it's a gift, all right? If you pay early, who's to say that's not a payment that's late from the previous week or the previous month, all right? Or who's to say that's not a gift? Because I've seen this before, where people say comments on Facebook and they say, my ex has paid me a day early. I'm going to report them for non-payment because they've sent me a gift. All right, they haven't actually paid me on the day. They paid me a couple of days early. I'm going to report them for non-payment. And that's what people do. So don't screw yourself over by paying over or under, early or late. All right, it's happening far too much. The other thing that I seem to be seeing lots of messages about is where people say, well, I've split my monthly payment into weekly payments, or I pay my weekly payments monthly. You can't do that, all right? If you do that, you're not following the schedule and it will cause you problems, all right? A CMS month is 30.4 days. If you take 365 and divide it by 12, okay, it's not 28 days. So if you don't pay as per the CMS schedule, you might actually underpay or you might be overpaying. If you want to change it because you're paid weekly and you want to get pay weekly, or you paid monthly and you want to pay monthly, not a problem. Just ring the CMS up and ask them to change your schedule. If they change your schedule, you're safe. You won't be reported. Only this weekend I've seen a couple of posts, might be the same person, but I've seen a couple of posts about people wanting to pay monthly and they've done it, or they've done it weekly, and now they're being reported for not paying properly. Let's try and avoid that. Never pay under, never pay over, okay? Always pay on time and never pay late. If you do that and you pay the amount they tell you, that will avoid 99% of problems. The other thing I keep on seeing this week is lots of commentary about arrears. If you look in the description below, there should be a link to a page that explains arrears. Lots of reasons for arrears. There's the fact that first of all you do pay in arrears. All right. So when you first get a payment schedule, if you're new to this, you must pay as per the schedule. Just ignore the arrears figure. It's very confusing, but the arrears are paid as part of the schedule. All right. Now, another question that often comes out of it is something along the lines of, my ex-partner's been put on a DEO, what happens about the arrears? Well, the arrears will be put into the DEO payments, and they will typically be spread over the period from then to the next annual review. However, arrears are negotiable. So if someone is struggling, they can ask to pay those arrears over longer periods. I know several people, for example, that are paying their arrears over 2, 4, 6 or even 8 years. That's okay. That's just the way it works. You will get the money eventually, but it will be spread over a longer time period. Okay, and that's exactly the same that happens if you go into a DEO. Arrears are also caused by the system doing changes. So, for example, I had a change of shared care. It went against me, but it took 4 months, 5 months for them to action it. And what that meant was all of a sudden, when they changed my payments, it said I had to pay a lot more to compensate for the fact that I've been paying less since the day it was reported. And that obviously creates arrears. Now, me knowing my stuff, what I then did is ran the CMS up and agreed an arrangement to spread those arrears over 2, 3, I can't remember how many years, but because I couldn't afford to suddenly pay all that money quite quickly. And of course, as you get closer to the annual review, if they're trying to take a lot of money, it means the payments do go up quite a bit. In fact, one time this happened to me, I got the notice on the Friday, and I used to pay weekly on the Friday, and it said that day I had to pay 800 quid, gone up from about 170 up to 800 quid at the time, and I had to pay 800 quid the following Friday. Now, I spoke to CMS that same day, told them I made the £800, they were fine with that, and then asked them to spread the remaining payments over the next year or two, and that's exactly what they did. All right. The key thing with these big arrears, when you get these big sums, is you need to phone CMS and ask to spread them over a long period. If you don't do that and then you don't pay them, you risk being put on collect and pay. So call the CMS, email them, chase them, be persistent, get them to do it. Now, you can do arrangements over 2 years. That is actually the default. But I've listened into people's calls when they've called the CMS. They've put me on mute and did a sort of three-way call. And I've heard the CMS staff go straight from, look, if you can't afford 2 years, how about we spread it over 4 years? All right. Now, those people, when they called up, they were a bit anxious about calling. And actually, it was very, very easy. They were changed, okay? I do actually have a call of when I asked to spread mine. I will at some point put it on YouTube if there's a demand. If you want to listen to that call, put in the comments below that you want to listen to the call, and I'll put it into some sort of video as a guide to negotiate arrears. Okay, so obviously it's holiday period now, as I've already said. Payments will be jigged slightly, and CMS do know that obviously if you're paying someone on the 25th of December and it's by standing order, CMS are aware of the fact that obviously it will be late. Don't worry about it. Don't let your ex intimidate you about it. All right, it's just the way it is. Okay, that's why receiving parents have 3 days, 3 working days to report non-payment. Sorry, the first 3 working days they can't report it. So if your payment's by standing order, it goes out late over the Christmas holidays, do not worry about it. As long as it's a standing order, as long as it goes out when the bank's open after the holidays, it will be absolutely fine. You will not be penalised for that. Another bit of good news actually. DEOs, there appears to be a bit of a problem with DEOs. CMS have recognised that actually there are far too many people on DEOs. And we've noticed it recently on our Facebook page where a lot of people have been reporting that they've missed one payment and they've been put on the DEO. That may change because apparently CMS staff haven't been following their own procedures. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but what I do know is they've reduced the ability for staff to put people on DEOs. Apparently only certain people can do that now, and hopefully this will tidy up the system. It is a waste of taxpayers' money, it's a waste of everyone's time and effort, and it causes a lot of unnecessary distress for the people to put someone on a DEO just because they were 2 days late with a payment. Okay, that's pointless. So the CMS have recognised that. They've now restricted to who can put people on DEOs. And what this probably means is if you have been late, as long as you make up that payment as quickly as possible, as long as you go back to the CMS when they say you paid late and you say, well, look, I have paid, really sorry, it was an accident, bank problem, whatever, chances are you will not be put on the DEO. But as always, I urge you, when you get those messages from CMS, those text messages that no one actually wants, you follow up on them. Okay, if you get a text message that says you haven't paid, we're considering legal action, and you know you've paid, what's probably happened is you've paid but somehow there's been some sort of crossover that's triggered the text message because the other person has reported you for not paying, and therefore there is some action you need to do, and that action is to go onto the CMS system and upload proof that you have paid. Alright, okay. Other thing that's starting to come in now is people are saying, well, my child left college in December, they're not going back in January, what happens next? Well, for CMS purposes, you will continue to pay CMS until the end of February. If you're not already aware, the CMS used payment of child benefit as a gauge as to whether a child's in education. They have no idea where your child is educated, what course they're on, what level it is. All they simply do is check the HMRC system that tells them the child's in child benefit. It's got child benefit being paid, and as long as there's child benefit being paid, they consider the child is in education. Now the thing is, if your child left education in December, after the 30th of November, if they've left since December, will leave next month or the beginning of February, the child benefit should finish at the end of February, provided the other person has told them. This is where we get into fraud reports. As you know, I encourage people to make fraud reports. One, because it stops the payments, but two, obviously, sometimes people don't realise, and it's better to cut it off as soon as possible. So if your child left education in December, January and February, at the end of February, if the child benefit doesn't stop, you need to tell HMRC, you have to make a fraud report, and they will probably ring the other person and check. And if the other person says, oops, I forgot, then it's okay. They'll just have to maybe pay back a bit of child benefit. But the important thing is your CMS will stop. Okay. Also, it's that time of year when people actually start looking forward to what happens after the holidays. What happens as children goes to university. There's no CMS payable for a child at university. All right. Now, obviously, as a parent, you may want to support your children while they're at university, but you cannot be forced to do it. We often see people try to make private agreements about university, and and that's a good thing. But the key thing is, from the child maintenance perspective, the CMS, you should not be paying child maintenance for a child that's on a university course. Okay, and that's it. So thank you very much. I say it's too late now. If the CMS haven't already sent you your DEO payment for December, it's too late now. You won't get it before Christmas. You will get it from the 27th, and that's just the way it is. Okay, if you like this video, if it's been of use to you, please subscribe. Yeah, I've got 1,500 subscribers. Okay, 80% of people that actually watch these videos are male, but also something like 80% of the people that watch these videos aren't actually subscribers. So please like and subscribe, and hopefully if this video has been any good, why don't you watch the video that's coming on screen now, because that's of use to you as well. Thank you very much.